Before I call this regular meeting to order, we want to make sure that if there's anyone here who would like to address the board, that you sign up at the entrance to this room so that we have your name. You may either sign up as on an agenda item or under the consent agenda. Those items on the consent agenda include things that are considered routine and or are of a recurring nature. All the items listed under the consent agenda will be acted upon in one motion. If there is a consent agenda item with which anyone here would like to address, please sign up to speak to that item, and we will pull it from the consent motion and discuss it separately. The purpose of our meeting is to conduct board business, and for that reason it is held in public, but it is not a public forum. However, we do provide the opportunity for audience participation. If there's anyone who would like to address the board during an agenda item or citizen to be heard portion of the agenda, we ask that you please complete the sign-up sheet located at the entrance. This is so we do not overlook anyone who would like to speak to the board. We will review the rules for addressing the board later in the meeting. Is there anyone here who would like to sign up to an agenda item that has not done so? If not, then this meeting will be officially called to order. However, I need to give this to somebody, and I don't know who because I don't have a list of anybody else. Carol, how about you? Please stand as Trustee Harrell leads us in the invocation and the pledges of allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, we ask your guidance and blessings upon this board, our students, our parents, our patrons, our teachers, and our administrators, as we are assembled here this evening in the common pursuit of this great nation's wealth, our children. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Dr. Harrell. At this time, I understand that we do have a couple of groups visiting us tonight. One is Robert Marbott's class from Northwest Vista. Would you all stand up, please, so we can see who you are? Aha, very nice. Hopefully you will stay until the end of the meeting. Just teasing. I'm just teasing y'all. Hi, Robert. Nice to have you here. I know you all have classes tomorrow, right? And it's getting close to the end of the school year for you. When is your last week? Next week. It's hard to believe you will be already completing this year. And I understand we also have some students from the Incarnate Word Art, high school art class. Is that correct? A government class. Okay. It's government. I couldn't figure out what it said. Sorry. Welcome to you too. So hope you'll learn something tonight. So with all that having been done, it is time for the superintendent's report. Dr. Woods.
Thank you, Ms. Reed, and members of the board. Several items to report to you. As you know, when we get into April and May, things seem to really accelerate towards the end of the academic year. I want to report to the board that I've been asked to serve with some other TASA members on a state dual credit working group. We're meeting with a group of community college presidents to talk about where we have common interest around the notion of dual credit, and I'll report that after our first meetings, we've got a lot more interest than we have disagreement in that group.
That's good.
I would say not everybody in the higher ed community agrees, but with that group of folks, we certainly agree and want to push forward with the notion of offering expanded opportunities for dual credit to our students, and there will be more meetings of that group to come. Also want to report several successful events that we've had recently, including our Career and Technology Showcase at Holmes High School. Great success. Lots of, all of the programs showcased what they do. And there was a particular highlight that I'll circle back to here in a minute. The foundation hosted its golf course at
Golf
Oak
tournament.
Hills, golf tournament at Oak Hills. Recently, a very successful tournament for the foundation. The PTA held its annual Reflections Awards, and I think we recognize more students in our Reflections Awards than I ever remember in the past. Just a great recognition that night. Mr. Blunt and some teachers and, importantly, students from Hatchet made a presentation to a group of probably 4 dozen superintendents from all around the state recently. And I'll tell you, I have heard from so many of those superintendents who've emailed me since and just said they were blown away with the kids and their knowledge of solar energy and how the cars are constructed and all of that. It was really fantastic. Bobby and I played very small roles. The kids played the majority of the role. So it was really very well done. I also went that very next week to a middle school robotics competition where several of our schools were in competition. And again, I was really impressed with the problem-solving abilities of our students. Last week, and I know the board members know about this, but I want to publicly say, a group put on a regional educational forum, and several of us were concerned about what that agenda initially looked like, and Mr. Blunt stepped up to be on the panel, inserted himself into the panel, I think is probably a good way to say that, and did a fantastic job representing not just Northside, but school districts in general. So Mr. Blunt, I know that took a lot of time in preparation. Thank you for that. So this week, just a list of events we've got either ongoing or coming up. Every day this week we've got Special Olympics going on at Gus Stadium. We held the elementary schools yesterday and today. We'll do middle schools tomorrow, high schools on Thursday, and then I think Reddick's goes on Friday. Our partnerships awards are held in conjunction with Art Fest tomorrow evening. Toyota is coming to Stevens High School to make a special presentation to a career and technology program there on Thursday. And then on Friday, we've got the Trinity Prize, where obviously Northside has a nominee for the Trinity Prize for Excellence in Teaching, and that's always an exciting event. Then this weekend, we've got Art Fest and, assuming the weather holds, solar car races. Mr. Blunt may want to say more about that. A huge number of Northside elementary students participating in that. Then next week, we've got our retirement and recognition ceremony Wednesday night of next week. The TASB Business and Education Forum that we Northside and Go Public are hosting is next Thursday. Our Child Nutrition Awards, and then next Saturday, our NEF 5K. So, as I said, it gets busy here towards the end of the year. So I said I'd come back to the Holmes Career and Technology Showcase, and our video moment tonight is tied into that. One of the programs, one of the many programs at Holmes, made a very special donation to a needy family.
A family of 9 gets a much-needed vehicle from a group of students and their teacher at Holmes High School. It all unfolded in a career and technology class with a donated damaged van.
1, 2, 3.
It's just like new. New paint, new parts, and new interior for the 2005 Chrysler Town & Country van. Holmes High School students in the collision repair class and their teacher, Alvaro Gutierrez, transformed the 11-year-old vehicle. They made it new again for the Contreras family.
This is a shock. You know, it's kind of like you know it's going to happen, but then when it actually happens, you're still kind of not believing it. So,
with no car, Sandra and her husband and their 7 young children, including a newborn, had a great need for a vehicle.
The family needs all the help they can get, so we're going to go ahead and help them out, just complete the project, from start to finish. You see some of the scratches right here? If you continue to go ahead and sand with that 600, they'll go away. Just be sure to use the sanding block.
But when work got underway on the van, Mr. Gutierrez and his students didn't know about the Contreras family. They simply knew it would be a great industry-related experience, so they got to work.
Oh, it's kind of challenging. At first, you're nervous. After practice, after a while, you just forget about it. You just start going with the flow. You get used to it.
Excitement started to build, thinking about the possibilities. Mr. Gutierrez analyzed the damage, made a list of parts, contacted local parts vendors, and got the necessary materials donated. It was all coming together. That's when Mr. Gutierrez expanded the project, partnering with the nonprofit Any Baby Can. Out of 1,500 families serviced by the organization, the Contreras family was selected based on their need and their volunteerism with the organization. This motivated the students even more.
You wouldn't even have to tell me twice and I'd help because, them meeting them, they saw the van and they're like, oh, look at this van. I wish that was my car. And we're telling them, like, that is your car. You know what I mean? And just to see their faces just makes us really happy just to see them smiling.
When the van was unveiled, many people were smiling, including Superintendent Dr. Brian Woods.
I think about all of the things that we do as an organization for the greater good of the community, and that we're trying to teach students, we're trying to teach our kids about service learning and the things about serving the community that they live in now and in the future. I can't think of a better example than this. It was just really, really special, very touching moment.
The lesson that started off as a class project evolved into a lesson of community service for the students.
So you don't normally get to see these, what you produce, here in the boardroom. So really well done, as per usual. I'll say that obviously the look on the family's face when they did the great unveiling of the van was very, very touching. But I was watching the kids who had done the work on the van when they made the announcement, when they did the unveiling, and you could see how touched the kids were who had done the work, and that for me was maybe the most important part, realizing how much value they had added for this family, and it was a very, very special moment. So thanks for doing that. That was really wonderful. Ms. Reed, that concludes Superintendent's report. I'm sorry. One other item. If I could just very quickly, I want to introduce the board to a very special staff member who is new to Northside. As you all know, when Henry Acosta was promoted, that left us without a director of maintenance, and that is an incredibly important position in any school district, especially in one our size and with the scope of that work in Northside. So I want to introduce Frank Bayardo, who is our new director of maintenance here in Northside. So Frank, welcome to Northside. We are glad you're here. Frank literally started yesterday, and he has freely given of his cell phone, which he will likely come to regret very soon. I said this to Cabinet this morning when we introduced Frank. I know his former superintendent in Mansfield a little bit, and when I called him to ask about Frank, knowing how important this position is, you could almost hear the twinge of a tear in the background. So I took that as a very good sign. So Frank, welcome to Northside. We're really happy to have you here.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
And that concludes the
That concludes it. Okay, for now anyway. So other board members have things that they would like to share with the rest of us. Somebody? Dr. Harrell.
Wanted to echo Dr. Wood's celebration of the Recycled Ride project at Holmes. If I could capture the kids' faces that created that car or recycled it into a thing of beauty and lots of hope for this family, there were tears. They were giving high fives. They were hugging and to see, really bulky grown-up boys hug and cry and just celebrate. It was magnificent. It really touched all of us that were there. And then the evening was topped up by a CTE fashion show, and I think there were several of us that would have walked away with new designs had they sold them, but it was really wonderful. Holmes is to be applauded, and so are programs like this in Northside. It really made us proud. Another point of pride occurred Thursday night at the Battle of Bands. It was probably the highlight of my Fiesta week by attending, and just, again, glowing with pride. I hate to sound like I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. Each one of our bands that marched and performed had a personality and a character and a charm that was all their own. And so the John Jay Band, when they marched, they had spirit and energy and a lot of joy in their presentation. O'Connor, of course, took up the whole field. They kept coming and I had a different show to present. But each one of those bands, what they did have in common is an incredible music program that I know has been led by James Machuca. He was running around all over the place. I know he's very instrumental in ensuring that not only our bands in Northside, but bands throughout the county were privileged to march and to perform by a sold-out crowd. And as I was coming in, James, you told me it was the most, I have to put on my glasses to see you. It was the most watched live streaming show in the nation for the 3 hours that it was on. I mean, that's incredible. That is just really incredible. I know I didn't move. There were fireworks, and there was Flaco Jimenez, and there was just pomp and circumstance, but it was incredible. But Northside led the way again, and again, another way that we show that we're Northside proud. And thanks, James, for all your hard work in coordinating that. I do want to talk about very quickly just a personal story that touched me this morning. We have a Brandeis robotics team that's on their way to the first competition in St. Louis, Missouri. And they're used to it. They are a quality robotics team. They've been winning. They've been working as a team, probably the premier high school robotics team in this area. And of course, they're going to represent us, and FIRST stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. And it's probably, again, the premier robotics competition internationally and nationally known. So they're going up there. I'm in a district where it's a second year of a school that has about 300 students, and 9 of them also placed as a robotics team. Our STEM Early College High School in Harlandale, they were a novice team, a bunch of babies. All of them have never been north of San Antonio. And so Brandeis reached out to them, unbeknownst to me till this morning when they were sharing that they had spent a Saturday at the invitation of the Brandeis Robotics sponsor. He got them a practice bot. And so what I learned is that when you compete, you have your own robot, and there's several kinds. And so if you had gone to a practice and you didn't have the right instrument, you played trumpet and you went to a practice session with a drum, it wouldn't do you any good. Well, this gentleman, Mike Blake, went out of his way and got a practice bot, not only for the STEM Early College High School in Harlandale, but they got it for Central Catholic and several other schools who showed up, who were first-time competitors. The other thing I found out this morning is our group almost didn't get to go because they were so excited when they won at the convention center a few weeks ago that they started leaving with the robot, and that's against the rules. If you place, you are immediately supposed to wrap up your robot. They call it bagging a bot, but you're supposed to wrap it up because now it has to be shipped to the competition in St. Louis. So no one can tamper with your bot. And so they were walking out with it, and the Brandeis sponsor came right before they were stepping out and said, "Stop, you cannot do that. You'll be disqualified." Well, this is after Brandeis thought they weren't going to the competition. So they still did this in the spirit of sportsmanship and just, just being a great partner in this. All the Brandeis students came over and shook hands and congratulated and helped them bag up their bot. And, we just don't see that very often. But they did it without being told, and Mr. Blake did the same thing. He put this together. I'm not sure if the superintendent even knew it, because I just found it out this morning. And it's just an inspirational story about our kids and our educators in Northside. So, again, I am Northside proud.
Thank you, Dr. Harrell. Ms. Freeman?
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I had the opportunity to attend the National School Board Association conference in Boston, and it's real interesting because you get to meet trustees and superintendents, educators from all over the country, and you think we know what our challenges are here, but other states certainly have their own too. And we talked a little bit about fine arts here this evening, and there were so many sessions. I was just thinking about this. So many sessions relating to how to keep fine arts in your schools, because even in the state of Texas and certainly throughout the country, you all know that in many places, fine arts is not part of the accountability system. That could soon change, but so sometimes what's not tested goes by the wayside or doesn't give priority. And I really appreciate that in our school district we do recognize the importance of fine arts in our curriculum. I'm glad we're able to do that, and this board has supported that. I also attended some a session that NSBA did a really good job of putting on a synopsis of actually what's happened with the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind and what we know now as ESSA. And truly, to my fellow board members, what they talked about was certainly it appears that right now, certainly we're in the rulemaking process, but more I don't want to say leniency, but a lot more decisions will be turned back to the state, or it's more about local control. But what I came away with it, I was thinking that if we're not careful, the states could just grab whatever the federal government or our state government could grab whatever the federal government just allowed perhaps some of us as local governing bodies being able to control. So we just need to keep talking about that and in our advocacy. And Bobby, congratulations. You rocked the other day at the Education Forum, but you've recently been presented with the inaugural Public Relations Champion Del Oro Award. Woo-hoo. And so I want to congratulate you, and I'm just going to read a little bit about this. This is from the San Antonio chapter of Public Relations Society of America, and PRSA San Antonio holds its annual Del Oro Awards contest, and it's to recognize outstanding contributions of individuals in public relations field or those who support the field of public relations. And we know certainly you're recognized with your involvement in Go Public and all that you do within the community. So congratulations and thank you for what you do. You do rock.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam President. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on a little bit of the couple of the events that I was able to participate in for the first time as a new school board member, and it happened to be around Fiesta. And one of them was, James, the Battle of the Bands. It was a great event. You did an excellent job as the producer of the production. My hat's off to you, especially to all the campuses, all the bands, not only just Northside, San Antonio, Harlandale, all of the students that participated in it. It was really great. It was good to see them participate, and what was even better was to see the audience cheer for each individual band that was out there performing, not only just their alma mater, but for every other band. So, James, congratulations, good job on that. And I was able to participate, or not really participate, but see the mariachi that Northside had as well. That was a John Jay and Holmes High School. The mariachi band that was under the direction, Holmes is under the direction of Aaron Rios. So it was good to see the mariachis out there expressing their culture, the heritage, and singing some of the songs that their parents or grandparents have seen or sung or heard of. So it was good to see that as well. Then finally, well, not finally, I was also able to participate at the Virginia Myers parade. That was under the Mrs. Solis, the principal there. She invited me to go out there. It was really good to see all the scientific. Apparently, they had a scientific experiment, and the kids were all showing their experiments and showing it off, and they were walking with us. I was a guest of their. I was, I guess, a guest of them, but it was also good to see the UTSA basketball team out there. They were in support. I guess they have been doing this every year or for the past several years, and it was really good to see them out there, and it was just great to hear. They could care less about us. It was just great to see them out there, and the kids were like, hey, all right, and they were really yelling in support of the UTSA basketball team. So that was good to see. And finally, Bobby, congratulations on your award. I know it's well-deserved. You do a lot for Northside. You do a lot for public education here in San Antonio, and congratulations on your award. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Blunt, you're the next one up.
And as Dr. Wood had mentioned, we do have our Texas Solar Race Car coming up on April 30th. Did you push for me pushing the right button? There we go. So hopefully we'll have some sunshine. And also to have rain, we're going to have the races. We have battery backups and everything else also for that. But this will be our 20th anniversary, so we really want to make it a very big celebration. As Dr. Hall knows, we start out with her early roots also at Rayburn Middle School with just an idea that we had with the students on trying to do something a little bit different. And we're going to have about 1,100 kids, 73 elementary schools, 300 and something teams all racing in Augustus Stadium with their little solar cars on that particular day. And we definitely, Dr. Woods, we definitely got to thank the Northside Elementary Science team, Nancy Kreth and them. They're putting in so much work to make this a successful event. Our communications department. We're also going to partner with the Northside Education Foundation, as they're going to use that as a platform to present some very special awards also. So it's going to be a great event. We've got over 100 volunteers, about 50 of them from Northside ISD, teachers and others that participate in the past. The United States Air Force is going to have over 30-something volunteers and are the ones that are really sponsoring us. So it's going to be, if you're not busy that day, come on out, but get there early because we might put you to work. And I did want to say something about the regional forum that Dr. Woods also mentioned. What it really showed is, more than anything else, it really showed the importance of our Go Public campaign. And the reason why I say that is, when we listen to some of the national speakers and even some of our local speakers, they really have no idea of what's occurring here within San Antonio and how it really is different than the rest of the nation. And when we look at it in a data sense and we sort of present the data to show the real facts of what's going on, and we show the collaboration that's occurring with the superintendents and trustees and the business and the whole community at least for the ISDs, on public education, everybody sort of sits back and sort of says, boy, this really is different. So, we're going to continue to push that Go Public campaign. The award I got really isn't a reflection of me as much as it is all the individuals that really supported that particular campaign. So let's all say Go Public and get the facts out there to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Ms. Chumley?
I just had a couple of things I wanted to share with the board. I went to the Holmes ROTC, I don't have it on, I'm sorry. I went to the Holmes ROTC Military Ball, and it was great. They have it out at Lackland, and it was very well done. But there's a part of it, a ceremony that they do. It's called an honor ceremony, and it's when they come out and they have the table set up for soldiers that, are missing in action. And I mean, it was so impressive. They have 4 of their their ROTC officers that, and then there's a dialogue being read as well. Anyway, I was going to talk to Brian. I would really like them to come and present that to us. It's an amazing ceremony. It just really was well done. And the kids danced, till they dropped, and it was loads of fun. But anyway, I just want to commend the ROTC leadership at Holmes. They did a really great job. Major Cram is there, and so they really did it. And the young people that led it just were exceptional. I mean, we just have such great kids in Northside, and it was really enjoyable. Bobby, I want to thank you. I don't know who the gentleman was, and I'm not going to say where he was on the stage, but I know I was biting through my spoon during that. Yeah, and so I just want to tell you, you did an absolutely amazing job, and I appreciate that you kept hanging in there, trying to get the message out about Northside every time they talked about how wealthy we were and these wealthy children, and so I just really appreciated it very much, and I thought there is so much misinformation that individuals are saying in relation to public schools. They don't have a clue about it. And that was, to me, what was so obvious that day. And I just thought that you came back at them with statistics and a smile, and you did a great job. I was very proud of you, and thank you for representing all of us. I kept thinking I would have just stood up and and I would not have been very diplomatic, so I thought that you were absolutely the best choice to do that. But you just really did an amazing job. I was very, very pleased. Thank you so much for doing that. I want to commend Brennan, O'Connor, Holmes, and Brandeis Baseball. They are the district champions, and they start playoffs this week. So if any of y'all have a chance, we're going to have games at Northside Stadium's baseball facilities this week, and I'm really excited. And I've got to put in a plug. Holmes just fought really hard, and they did a great job. So I'm proud of all of the schools, but they really put in a lot of effort. Bobby, thank you for volunteering to help at the Construction Careers Academy mock interviews on Friday. And I'd send out an email to all of the trustees, and I didn't know if any of y'all can, but if you can, please just let me know. It's really a great thing. They're having a job fair the next week, and so they have the president of their booster club also works out at USAA. And he has really taken on this role as the Booster Club president. Just a really great guy. And so what they're doing is they've spent the last 2 weeks preparing resumes and working with the kids on what a resume needs to look like. And then we're doing mock interviews from 11 until the end of school on Friday. And then the purpose of it is they want all of their seniors to go through a mock interview, which I think is a really great idea. And then the job fair is actually the next week. And so they'll actually be doing interviews for internships with some of the companies. So I just think it's so thank you for volunteering to do that too. And any of y'all even have an hour or so, just let me know. We can fit you in. Congratulations to the culinary arts and to all of the CAPE programs at Holmes. They really did a good job. There was a young man who's a designer, and he was he was really strutting his stuff on the stage that night. I mean, you could tell he was really proud of the stuff that he had made, and I just thought that that's really neat that that's not a lost skill anymore, too. So just want to add my congratulations and thanks to all of those teachers there that are working so hard in those CAPE programs. And it was, Carol, it just made you cry seeing those kids. That was just a really neat event. And before I end, there's an award that's being given tonight, and it says that this individual has exhibited a creative, dedicated, and professional approach to school communications. And I want you to know, Monica, that on top of all of that, you take such good care of us. And you have always been our champion, and we just appreciate you greatly. So, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Medina.
Thank you. I'll try to be short. Well, first and foremost, I enjoyed the Battle of Flowers day parade, and I saw multiple of our students, band members participating. They did a fantastic job. Crowds were cheering, and as the crowds cheered, they played louder. It was extremely enjoyable. As well, it's going to overlap with baseball as a game of perseverance. And I participated in the Northside Education Foundation, which was a sold-out event, the golf tournament. And I was partnered up, luckily, with Miss Reed, who actually carried our team throughout the tournament. Without her, I don't think we would have any success. We thought our team, started out well, and by the middle and the end, we're all depending on Miss Reed to finish the tournament. But
Which
it was
is
a
kinda
very
sad.
enjoyable. But it was very enjoyable. Thank you, Miss Reed. As well, we look forward. I've been sneaking in some of the baseball games, and like I said, it's a game of perseverance and their dedication, hard work, and as it shows, it does pay off. I'll leave off with what I usually do in the spring and the fall, and I've already participated in the spring, is Watch Dogs, which is where fathers go and donate time and participate, with not only classroom education, you get into little mock interviews, discussing government procedures and what your role is, and also some of the day-to-day activities with the students, and it's extremely enjoyable. And I wanted to still market and make an announcement that Watchdogs it stands for Dads of Great Students, and it's a success not only from elementary through middle school and high school. And so I just wanted to make sure that our community is involved and that our fathers are aware of this program. Thank you.
Thank you. It's kind of interesting. It's been seems like a long month since the last meeting, and so many things go on this time of year, so we could probably talk all evening about the things that we have seen and done. But I have to tell you, I'm not the best golfer around. We had two long hitters. One was going vroom, and the other one was going vroom. So I put it down the middle, not nearly as far. But technically, golf is not my game. It is tennis, and many of you have heard that I was on an over 65 women's team here from San Antonio, people from all over San Antonio, and we were in the national playoffs out in Phoenix, Arizona, and we came in third. So I'm standing a little taller these days. Did make a number of other events that have not been mentioned yet, and one of them was Northside High School's reunion for the first 4 classes that graduated there. And they were just so fun. There was only one person there from the original first graduating class, but the next group, I think there were 32. Or it was either the second or third graduating class. So they were really a lot of fun to be with and to hear about, because kind of that's my generation too. So we had a lot in common, and they were loving what we have done with Marshall High School. So that was a fun thing to be at. And then that was followed up by the diving competition that we had here at Northside. And that was a national diving competition for children and adults, and there were a lot of when they go together, what's it called? Synchronized diving. I'm sorry, sometimes words are just not quite there. They did a lot of synchronized diving, and when you see kids that are 8 years old going off this huge high platform and diving together and doing a somersault down into the water and hitting the water at the same time, it was just fantastic to see. And to know that we have kids a lot of them were from Northside, but a lot of them were from around the country too. And it was really a great event. Unfortunately, a couple weeks ago when we had all the hail damage, we've had some damage done out there to the canopies at the swimming stadium and also to the diving boards. The diving boards are going to have to be replaced because they had these big hail clunks that came down and damaged it. So we have more swimming events coming up very shortly here, so we're going to have to really get on stick and get it all fixed up so that we can have Michael Phelps will be back. Read also to the kindergarten students, which is always so much fun, and I got a whole big group hug from them, which was so much fun. It was all about the stars and the stars at night, and I kept thinking, okay, how many of these kids have really been out to see the stars at night? But we had to sort of, we read the book, but we also had discussion about it, which was really nice. And today, following up by the retirees luncheon, it was just a real special time always to have our retirees and to know when we talk about the Northside family, it's not just those of us that are here now. It's those of us that have been here in the past, and we have a number of them with us tonight, too. So we want to always keep our retirees as part of our family. So thank you for that, and I think right now we are ready to move forward. Dr. Woods?
We will actually move to recognition.
Right.
That's all right.
Do we need to come down or not?
Yes.
Okay.
So a little bit different tonight. We've got some people sitting here in the front row who never sit in the front row and are fairly uncomfortable, frankly, sitting in the front row, but they are here for good reason. So as members of the board know, at our monthly meetings, we recognize various individuals or groups of people with video moments like the one that everybody saw tonight and talk about the events going on in our district and the great things that happen in Northside School District. So tonight we want to recognize some people who work behind the scenes to bring us those stories, to bring us all of those items. We boast about being the premier school district in Texas, but we also have one of the premier school district communications departments in our state. Our communications department is considered one of the best of the state by their peers, and that's important, and that's the recognition that these folks receive tonight. They are called on countless times to mentor and advise other school district PR folks, both locally and statewide. So tonight we recognize some of the work they've done to receive state recognition at the annual Texas School Public Relations Association Conference. Texas School Public Relations Association is also called TSPRA, and I'll refer to it that way several times. Now, these aren't the first awards for these individuals, but we finally decided it was time to bring them in front of the board, make them sit in the front row. They have, in fact, won these awards for years. So here tonight was supposed to be the executive director of TSPRA, Lindsay Snyder. However, due to the possibility of weather tonight, we decided to give Lindsay a pass and let her stay in Austin. So I am going to do a probably poor version of Lindsay tonight. But we want to recognize these really special folks. So it would have been Lindsay's pleasure, and instead it's mine, to be with you tonight to represent TSPRA's 850 members. We have a communications department that's well respected across the state. Of course, we have a past TSPRA president and the 2015 key communicator for the state leading this award-winning department. You'll recall that Pasquale won that award recently. But the accolades don't stop there. Everyone in this department is an award-winning, well-respected individual who TSPRA often calls on to share their talents and expertise. Tonight, we recognize them for winning state awards at the most recent TSPRA conference held in February. With close to 1,150 submissions, those chosen for Star Awards are among the best in the state. Each Star Award is judged individually by a noted expert in the industry. Feedback is provided for each industry, and those receiving gold stars advance to compete against other industries among districts of similar size. As I introduce each of our communications pros tonight, we'll share some of their achievements, and we'll recognize some of their work on the screen. So we're going to start with Julianne Matonis. So come on, Julianne. She does not want, exactly. Julianne receives a Bronze Star Award for her feature story, Teacher Says Students Keep Him Young 50 Years and Counting. This is a story about James Bloom, who many of you have met, an economics teacher at John Jay High School, who's been teaching for 50 years in Northside and plans to make it 60. So with that, we'll recognize Julianne Matonis for her great work. There you go. A Northside product. PR people always take pictures, yeah. Next, we have NISD TV, and you're familiar with these folks. Lori Salazar, Keith Van Pruyen, I didn't see Keith. Keith isn't here tonight. And Mike Tristan. Collectively, they received 5 Star Awards. Keith and Lori received a Gold Star Award for the Colonies North Parade of Nations video package, which you've all seen, as well as the Holmes Family Tree video featuring the Singleton family, and as you all know, that family has been teaching at Holmes for more than 25 years. Keith and Lori also received a Silver Star Awards on their feature videos featuring Jay and Brandeis ROTC champions and the Vigo robot that helps students stay connected to their school even if they can't leave their homes. They're in our Homebound program. Mike and Lori received a Bronze Star Award for the Tips for Success video that featured you all. You might remember that particular video. So I'm going to ask at this time, we're absent Keith, but we'll ask Lori and Mike to come forward and be recognized. Congratulations. They work with the talent they have, right? All right, so Lori's office, she may need more wall space. So last but not least, Monica Falkenberry, APR, has received something that's akin to a Lifetime Achievement Award by her professional association. She is the 2016 recipient of the TSPR Professional Achievement Award. The recipient of this award must be employed full-time in the field of school public relations, hold professional membership in TSPR for at least 10 years, and during that time she must have exhibited a creative, dedicated, and professional approach to school communications, a line that we've heard. For those of us who know Monica, she's done all of this well and so much more. A colleague wrote of her, "When I think about TSPR, I think about Monica and the things she's taught me without even knowing that she influenced me. She is the epitome of a mentor, and she does it without even trying." As the only accredited public relations professional working in school PR in San Antonio and one of 11 employed statewide, Monica regularly holds study sessions for colleagues in other school districts wishing to reach that designation for themselves. She's currently serving a 2-year term as the TSPR on the TSPR Executive Committee and is an at-large vice president representing large districts and recruiting others to learn about advanced accreditations. Monica has more than 36 years of experience in educational public relations and has worked as school PR for universities, colleges, and public schools in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. So Lindsay was going to say this. When she applied for the job 6 years ago, her current position as executive director, the TSPR membership was surveyed about what they wanted in an executive director. More than one of the responses was something like, "The executive director should be like Monica Falkenberry." So Lindsay quickly realized, I better make a relationship with Monica Falkenberry, and she did, and they have become longtime friends. And we are sorry that Lindsay couldn't be here with us, but we are certainly pleased to recognize Monica Falkenberry. So I don't know if there's family members here to help us honor these folks, but I know that there's a lot of staff members who are here to honor these folks, so let's give them a hand one more time. That concludes our recognitions.
Congratulations.
So this is once more where we honor people who work for Northside, and we know that we have so many wonderful people who do. So it's great for us to be able to do this publicly and make them sit on the front row. How about that? That was a good thing. Okay, so we are ready for the next item on the agenda. There are no reports for this meeting, so we do have a consent agenda, which has a number of different things. I understand one item is being pulled, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Reed. We would request to pull. Help me, David, with that.
That would be item 8C. We would like to pull the RFP 2016-054 for copy services, giving staff a little more time to go through the evaluation
Copying
process.
services. I don't see it on here. Oh, it's the
It's at
first
the
one.
top, under
It's the
bids,
very
yes,
first
ma'am.
one. Okay. Okay, so there, it's C, C is the first item under C. So, if there are any other people who would like to mention something, I do want to say to Mr. Michalka, thank you for giving us the additional pictures for the uniforms. Unfortunately, the backs are kind of just all black, aren't they? But we still kind of wanted to see, especially the short sleeve versions. Yeah, so. It's okay. It wasn't an oversight. I just wanted more information, so thank you for that. Melissa?
I just had one, if anybody, did all the trustees see the storytelling board?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to commend Natalie. She just did, am I off still? I don't like this. I just wanted to commend Natalie. She did I thought, an amazing job with the storytelling design. And that was it, Katie.
Okay.
I appreciate you see her mark through so many of our schools, and she just really is so talented. It means a lot to our kids.
Well, and there are a number of things here that are from the building committee meeting, so there wasn't anything else that you wanted to mention there. Everything
No,
else
not
is
really. I mean,
fine?
everything, I think, had a very thorough discussion at building committee.
Okay. And some of the financial things that are on here, they're all okay? For those of you who are just looking at the agenda, these things have all been reviewed at a special committee meetings before they came to this meeting. So we have all asked the questions that needed to be asked to make sure that they are being handled correctly. So if not, do I hear a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of item one under, the first item under the item, number C. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Citizens to be heard. There were no citizens that signed up to speak. I think the two people that signed up are for an agenda item, so we'll move forward. Curriculum and instruction, Dr. Mora.
All right, this is our favorite time of the year.
Turn your mic on, Linda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, it's time to look at the 17-18 school year calendar. As Northside has done traditionally, we adopt calendars 2 years out to allow families plenty of time for planning their holidays and the times when the students are going to be off. This particular calendar presents a couple of challenges. We wrote in Friday letter that this calendar has a late start date for students because the fourth Monday in August is not until August 28th. So that is quite a late start for us. Then we traditionally have a week at Thanksgiving. The second biggest obstacle, I guess, if you will, is the placement of Christmas. Christmas Day falls on a Monday. And so our options, and we discuss this at NEIC 2 or 3 months at a time. In fact, I had them work on a blank calendar and say, here, share my pain, and you tell me what the best calendar is. So the calendar that's coming forward is, begins the winter break on December 25th, which is a Monday. So that means we will go to school through December 22nd and return on January 8th. That was one option. The second option would be to get out on December 15th and be off those full 2 weeks and come back January 2nd. In the end, after discussing this several times with NEIC and staff and cabinet, this is the calendar that is coming forward. This calendar does not have any early release days designated right now. It ends with a teacher workday on June 8th, which is a Friday. And you have all your traditional holidays, Labor Day, the week of Thanksgiving for students, Martin Luther King Day, Fiesta Friday, and Good Friday, and Memorial Day. So I will be glad to answer any questions the board may have about the discussions. We have Mary Adamson's here. She is on NEIC and has traveled this road with us. And so I will be glad to answer any questions. I may add that we did consider a split holiday, going through December 20th, for example, and coming back on the 3rd, but there was a lot of discussion about the absentee rate. When you have a short week, absenteeism rises, and so that was one of the major reasons why that wasn't recommended.
All right, Melissa, did you?
Yeah, Linda, and the reason why, okay, so what were the reasons that we were against doing the 18th through the 2nd? The 18th through the 2nd, one of the main reasons, Ms. Chumbley, is that if you go through the 2nd, that eats up another school day. And we have to remember that our school days are now in minutes. So that would throw off the teacher workday to a Saturday, because it eats another instructional day.
So on the end,
On the end.
it would push it to
Yeah.
a Saturday.
If you use if you add in another student holiday, you've got to pick it up somewhere.
I just think that we're going to have a high rate of absenteeism on that Thursday and Friday. Not only from the students, but I think we're going to have a high absenteeism that week from our
Oh, the week
staff.
on the 21st and 22nd?
Yeah, I think, we're letting people off
I would, no?
the Saturday before before Christmas.
Yes.
I don't know, I just wish that we could, do we have any idea, Linda?
On absenteeism?
That, and also, do we have any idea what the other school districts' calendars are going to look like?
You know, we are as in San Antonio, we're the only district that adopts calendars 2 years out. So I venture to say that the districts are waiting for us to see what we're going to do.
Well, and what about, how does it tie into the colleges? When do the colleges break? But they probably break earlier,
They
right?
break early.
They probably break a week before.
They don't have those problems,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when do you break?
They have 15-week semesters, so by definition, they're going to be earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually I'm really pretty comfortable with the calendars we have. I don't like them, but I'm usually pretty comfortable with them. This one, I'm just really not comfortable. I just don't know how I feel about it. I think as breaking right before Christmas, where the first day of our break is Christmas.
I get it.
I have a real problem with that, and I think that, and I know with Mary being on NEIC, that Mary always made sure to represent and ask for her fellow teachers and counselors and nurses. I mean, you asked for everyone's opinion on, and I know that you did that. I'm not quite sure that everybody on NEIC does that, and so I'm concerned about that when we take it under advisement from NEIC on it. Gosh, Linda, this is one of the few you've brought that I just am really wishing we could find another alternative for it. I just really think And we don't have any kind of historical data, right, to say when we've had a split week, what our absenteeism has been. Like if we were to break go through the 20th and split it, though I know Bobby had indicated that then takes one more weekend away. I don't know what you one against the other.
That's, yeah.
Anyway, I just
And
wish
all
we
of
could
your
have found a.
Yeah, all of your concerns are concerns that were discussed and brought to light. And we've been discussing this calendar since probably December, because usually we adopt it in February. And we've delayed it because we just couldn't get our heads around this calendar. And I totally understand where you're coming from.
I would really hate to, Linda, if we adopt this and then all the other school districts are out the 2 weeks prior, and they go out, they do the 15th through the 2nd. I don't know. Anyway.
We can do either one.
Ms. Freeman?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the discussion that we had in the committee, and we talked about the split week on the committee, and we talk about people taking time off because of if we started on the 20th, it's very possible that people would take the 18th and the 19th off to make that a long week too. So, I see the challenge, but I think the NEIC made the recommendation and the process is good, so.
Dr. Harrell?
No, Linda will, I will echo Linda. This is not one of the favorite responsibilities, I think, of any curriculum leader, but it has to be done. And so I was just curious, the calendar this year for 16-17 has the 2 weeks before January 2nd. We're really just a day off. And so NEIC a year ago kind of thought that was okay to do two weeks before January 2nd or 3rd. But this committee, so I respect the process. I know that's why we have it, so we can get input from a variety of stakeholders and also our teachers. So I'm not disagreeing with the recommendation. I'm just really just stating kind of a curiosity that, last year's said, let's go ahead and do the 19th through the 30th and come back on the 2nd versus a split or, waiting until the 23rd for vacation. So just kind of an interesting observation, I guess.
This year, the current, the 15-16 calendar, the 2 weeks were December 21st, which was a Monday, through January 1st, a Friday. It was just a nice break. This coming year in 16-17, that's already been adopted, you're right, Dr. Harrell, it's the
It's 2
December
weeks before.
19th through the 30th, coming back on the Monday, the 2nd. And we've talked about it. Dr. Woods brought up the fact, he said, Linda, that's a federal holiday, a normal holiday, because the 1st is on a Sunday. So
Oh, yeah.
you're absolutely right. This is a no-win situation. And I told
Either
Brian, I said, I'm ready to give it up to whoever wants to take it. But
I-
I didn't get any volunteers.
Can we hire a consultant to do that? No, but yeah, it is. The other thing too, and you don't get privy to this, but other districts do wait for Northside, and they do say, because there's so many of our educators in other districts live in Northside, and so they want to follow suit so they can have time off with their own kids. So we'll see what happens, but I do respect the process and the input that was garnered from our stakeholders and staff.
Mr. Blunt?
Yeah, I was just going to add, we've had several academic committees meetings discussing this for some time too. So I know we've said NEIC and others have reviewed, but we have
Academics
also.
as well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And tell you, I don't know where we end up on it, to be honest, because you can argue any particular way. The only thing I can say, whatever the board and everybody decides, I'll basically go along with. This is the part that Dr. Morrow won't like, though. In the end, if we chose this one and everybody else chose something different, we can always come back and change it later. The board always has that particular right.
You're right.
I know, and Dr. Woods probably don't like that either. But
You're right, I don't.
So I'm foregoing what we got for now, We'll stick to it, Dr. Woods, as much as possible.
You have something else to
I
add?
just want to ask,
Okay.
what I would like to ask, though, is that since we don't have historical data really to be able to say what we anticipate will happen from, because Bobby and I had talked about it, and that one thing that we need to look at is how does this affect us from an ADA standpoint? You know, how is that? And so I really think that we need to pay attention to how many people, what our absenteeism looks like in the December 16 on that Monday. And I do think, and I know it would be horrendous, but I do think we need to look at, if we see that coming, possibly taking another look at this down the road. And then the other piece is that if we can just please make sure that we capture that data this time around so that the next time a board gets into this situation, we'll have some information that they can use to kind of look at historically how did our staff, you know, with that. And then we need to talk to our staff too in relation to Fridays, because normally the Friday before a holiday, I know that our staff is asked to not take off. And I just personally think that it's going to create a hardship. So I just would like us to pay attention on the,
We'll be glad to do that.
in the
And-
fall and see where we are. Thank you.
Just, do you mind? That's the only other thing I was going to add too, is that knowing this ahead of time, maybe fostering some sort of incentive or competition or something on those days that we're not real sure of because of potential for high absences. I know the day after the Super Bowl, we always do a mini Super Bowl at the schools, and our attendance is up because there's prizes and whatever. But something along those lines can help. And the fact that the board's gonna monitor attendance and maybe offer a report at each of the academics committee, so we can see that we're watching out for that too, in a way that's good for our kids.
Yeah, good.
Okay, and I think, is this the first calendar also that has the earlier start times for the elementary students?
The elementary students will be coming in 5 minutes earlier this coming year, in 16, 17. This is the year when we'll add 5 minutes at the beginning and 5 minutes at the end to give us some flexibility.
This August?
The
Or this
17,
one?
18.
Okay.
17, 18, we'll add
17,
10 minutes to the elementary school day.
So I just want to point that out because that's part of this
Right,
calendar
right.
also.
Yeah. And they're in the
Which I'm
process.
not happy about that, and I'm not happy about this either, so, and I voiced that opinion. I would much rather have the split week, but I just think it makes a lot more sense, but we'll take a vote. Anybody else have another comment to make? Do I hear a
Well-
motion?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Katie, if you feel that way, then I move that we change the calendar to break, because I really don't support this. I'm sorry,
Break
Linda.
at midweek.
That we do a
Have a
split
split week.
week, that we get out on the, though, did you
21st.
say it was better to just have the last 2 days? You had
Yes.
said to go at least 3 days. So I move that we amend this motion, that we amend the motion before the board to,
There hasn't been a motion yet, so just
Then-
make the motion, not amend it.
I move that the calendar for the 17-18 school year have Christmas break starting on the 21st and ending on the 3rd, I think is
They
what.
come back on the 3rd.
They come back, right, they come back on the 3rd. So it goes from the 20th to
Through
the
the
2nd.
2nd. Do I hear a second?
If I could just make sure that I'm clear about before we take a vote, if that's okay. So what I think I understand the motion is that students would go to school on Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th.
And yeah.
Well, what we had said in academics was that
18th,
if we did it,
19th,
if we
18th,
did it
19th, and
on, if we only did 2 days, that you would have a higher student absenteeism on Monday and Tuesday, so that we needed to have the kids go to school at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
So go to school through the 20th.
through the
Through the
20th,
20th. A return on the 3rd.
and return on the,
Coming back
on the 3rd. Yeah,
That's what you're proposing.
that is, that's my preference.
The The one comment I'd make for the board about that is that that would make for a 9-day total break, which is in contrast to what's happened in the past. It's something you may want to consider.
9. Wait a minute, so that's 1, 2. Oh, that is instead of 10,
No, it's
right?
10, 11, it depends on if you count the
Traditionally, we've had-
weekends, so
we've
10,
had
11,
10 days
12,
off.
13,
I'm
14,
just I'm counting just the actual
Days
work
off of
days,
school.
the business days off school.
I think that's a comment you will hear from staff.
So can we give them another day off someplace else?
And if we
Absolutely.
push through, if they come back on Wednesday, we have them coming back Wednesday the 3rd. Let me see, what is going to be 10 days? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
10 days, you would have to add December 20th or add,
The third.
The 3rd, where they come back on
As a
the 4th.
vacation, yeah. Unless we put another staff day someplace else. Another holiday someplace else.
I think the remaining holidays are pretty standard. Because we still have the week at Thanksgiving and the week at spring break.
And if we did the 2 weeks, we did the week prior to, then that, you said that pushes us into having to do the last workday on a Saturday,
Correct.
right? Have we done the last workday on a Saturday before?
We have in the case that we ran out of makeup days. We had so many bad weather days, we ran out of makeup days. It wasn't by choice necessarily, it was by necessity.
Sorry. Extra day than this semester.
Mr. Lopez?
Okay, can we just go back real quick and tell me, so when would be the last day for school and staff before Christmas on the split?
20th.
The 20th, right?
And they would be coming back on the 3rd.
They would leave on the 20th.
Yeah. No, the 20th, they have school on the 20th.
21st and 22nd. And then they would come back
So they'd have 9 days instead of 10.
On Wednesday
the
the
3rd.
3rd.
Wednesday the
don't
3rd.
have,
They need to have at least a 3-day week, I think, so that they will come. If it's only a 2-day week, you may lose them, so.
They work for you, Joseph, but it's not going to work for other teachers
what
that
she's
don't
saying.
get any break till Christmas.
I might suggest that if we really want to re-engineer this, that might be a better discussion held in committee, and
Okay.
we don't have to approve this calendar tonight. It is typically approved by this board in the spring, 18 months ahead. But if we really feel like we want to re-engineer and explore these ideas, perhaps we do that.
Sorry, Brian. But I mean, I do have a pencil copy of a split calendar that,
Yeah.
you know, we.
Yeah, that we could
work
send to
with,
the
yeah.
board for your review. So
So would we like to postpone this
I
decision?
would feel
I would
comfortable
withdraw
with
my
that.
motion.
I'd
I would
feel
withdraw my motion.
Something
comfortable
else
with
to
that.
say? Yeah, Karen, did you push your light too?
I did, but with a delay, then, I'm okay with,
You all
that.
just keep pushing buttons. I can't call you that fast.
I was just
Okay.
gonna have
Yeah.
another discussion, but it was,
Well, do we need to vote if we're gonna delay it? We don't, do it just,
No, I think no action.
we will just, I think, not have any action on this tonight, and we'll come back and address it the next month. Okay?
I'll have a massage this weekend.
It's always good.
And
to
we'll
have
have more, we will have more discussion. Okay.
All right,
let's see.
we'll develop those couple of other calendars and send them.
Okay. So you have another item to discuss, which is the campus-based growth and
Hey, can
improvement
I-
unit.
real-
Oh,
real
yeah, I'm
quick,
sorry.
But for clarity, I know,
I'm sorry?
just to be clear, because we've been talking about this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
If we do take it back, and I assume it's only going to, we're saying academics committee only?
Mhm. I think so.
So we're gonna add, hopefully, we have more active participation in at that meeting, otherwise we're gonna end up back where we are now. if we don't get the insight and questions from everybody, because we've been through it for
Then academics
about
will
2 or
have to
3
be
times.
A different time than one in the afternoon.
That's,
Yeah, because otherwise
I was
we're
going
not.
to say the
Otherwise,
same
not gonna have
thing.
any
If it could be
value.
at a different time, I
Okay.
would be there.
That's fine. Yeah, otherwise,
It's your
yeah.
committee, isn't it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Bobby, just having
No,
this one
who's,
at a
oh,
time.
no, Bobby's the academics committee chairman, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Well, make sure that we decide on a time when, maybe even most of the board can come for the
In the evening.
discussion.
It would have to be an evening
Okay.
session.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
That's a good idea.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, then we will delay this until next month.
Okay.
And it's now time for the campus-based growth and improvement units. Dr. Moore?
Let's hope this one's a little easier.
Sorry about that. You knew it wasn't going to be easy,
I knew
right?
it, I knew it, yeah, I knew it.
It's no reflection on the work you've done.
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's in your folder.
This next item is the campus-based units for growth and improvement. These are brought to you a little earlier than the rest of the growth and improvement packages to allow campuses to begin to hire and fill some of these positions. If you look at your synopsis there are 211.33 positions requested for growth and improvement for the campuses. Of those 211, 120.33 are teachers. 7 counselors, remember that we're opening 2 schools and we have some growth in the others, 2 librarians, 2 nurses, 31 instructional assistants and other paraprofessionals, 29 auxiliary staff, 5 campus administrators, and then 15 units for other campus support. That includes computer technologist, a speech language, reading specialist, technology support specialist, diagnosticians, and so forth. So I will reiterate that these are campus-based units only.
Okay. Is this an action item or just a report?
Yes, this is an action item, Ms. Reed.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, any questions about this item from the board? I have to cut some of these lights off. Mr. Blunt, your lights from last time, right? Yes. Ms. Chumbley?
I just have, Linda, are there, so this second list is all the new teachers, right? I mean, all the positions that are on here,
The backup list?
the backup list?
Yes, uh-huh. Yes.
Is there any additional positions at any of the schools outside of the new growth? I mean, I see the speech language, the certified teacher visually impaired, and you've got the startup campus administrators, all the new schools. But are there, in this round, we're not looking at any other additional staff at some of the other schools within this?
This
Brian?
includes all staff for growth, whether it be at new school or existing school.
So could you give me an example of where we're adding additional staff at not a new school?
Sure. We just did high school staffing last week, and many of our high schools, because of increased population, we're going to add 2 staff or 4 or 6 even in high growth areas that are classroom teachers.
Are there any areas, and I'll give the example, and the only one I can think of right this second is when we had allocated additional staff for John Jay. Are there any areas that we have looked at where we are doing that type of an allocation that's not specific to just growth?
No.
No. Is that something that we would be looking at later in the budget process?
It's something that we'll look at with the principals. One of the reasons they come in and do their staffing presentations is to have discussions around specific needs to the campus. And then I'll sit down with staff in coming months and allocate some of the units for those kinds of things. We budget in our growth each year a small number of units for increased enrollment or specific needs at certain campuses. So we've got those units that we can meet those needs if they arise.
So Brian, when will we have the conversation in relation to, because I know that as a board and a superintendent with our goals, we've been looking at different areas that we wanted to put additional emphasis on. And I know that in the past, the board has approved the positions at the high schools that helped with at-risk students in relation to helping them get the programs that they needed, keeping track of them.
Right.
We had those positions that we allocated for the high schools, and that was in relation to what we're talking about, is putting the budget in those areas that we felt we needed to have that additional support.
Right.
We've done that. We added coaches before. I'm trying to think what there was 2 or 3 other positions like that. Are we going to have a review that you talk to us about where we have some of those areas where we see the challenges at specific schools, particularly using the student data that we've looked at? Are like the campuses where we're doing the programs, where we're combining, we're putting kids through an accelerated program that have failed.
Middle schools,
The
right?
academies.
At the middle schools. Are we looking, at what point will we look at those specific areas of allocating staff to those specific needs that we see in the programs that we've looked at in relation to areas where our kids need additional support?
Program review.
And when will that be?
We do that all the time. We can certainly bring those reports to the board so that you can see how those units are being used and if there's any adjustments that have been made. to
Right,
those
and that's a
units.
piece, Brian, I don't question how you're doing our staffing. I just want to know if there's additional areas,
Sure.
because in the past, you've brought those to us and said,
Yep.
you know, these are needs areas, can we put, you know, some more staff on it? And so I just want to know if there's any other areas in the district you think we need that.
You don't see that in this recommendation that we bring to you tonight. That's largely because of this is a lean budget recommendation. That's largely why that is. That's why we haven't highlighted those new areas, frankly.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Ms. Freeman?
That was it, thank you, Linda.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. I was going to say, we have talked about this growth and improvement in our budget session, and I really appreciate having the opportunity to look at this and for the board's consideration early so that we can go out and hire some really good people. This gives us a head start on some other school districts. So with that, I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the growth and improvement packages as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Is that entire unit? Okay. Okay. Facilities and operations. Mr. San Miguel.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. I promise this is not going to be Linda
Lengthy?
Moda's. As difficult as Linda Moda's, I don't think. Even though we're spending a lot of money, but nevertheless. Bartlett Cock
so
General
mean.
Contractors was awarded the construction manager at risk on October 27, 2015 for the HVAC systems replacement at Clark High School. Sub-bids were received on March 29th, 2016. The GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, is not to exceed $16,351,956 and is presented for approval. Project value engineering items and sub-bid scopes are being finalized, and we will be receiving 100% of the savings. We recommend approval of the GMP.
Okay, thank you. That's a good report. Any other questions, or anybody have any comments to make on that?
No.
Motion?
I move that we approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the guaranteed maximum price for the Clark High School HVAC system. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there are no items under business or human resources or technology or administration. So now we are down to the naming of the Callison Ranch Area Number 2 Elementary School. Are you making a report? Or no, there's nothing to. This is an item that we have had a couple of discussions about already, and we now have 3 finalists for the naming of this school. And we do have 2 people that signed up to speak to this agenda item, so if it's all right with the rest of the board members, we will hear from them first. In preference to our past superintendent, we will have Mr. Ed Rawlinson come first. And you must use the podium. Do you want me to read all this to you?
I think you heard it enough before.
3 minutes, and Carol will let you know when.
Ms. Reed, members of the board, as you make your decision about a school name, choosing a school name, I'd like to toss out two aspects of that process for your consideration. The first is what I would call Northside culture. There was a time when Northside had no claim to being the best school district in Bexar County, much less anything beyond that. In the 70s, a lot of people got tired of that situation, and what would happen is when new families came into San Antonio, they would ask realtors or co-workers where should they go for good schools, and the answer was Northeast or Alamo Heights. So again, both people in the community and on the school board got tired of hearing that. And in the 70s, with great board leadership, they identified a new vision. And what they said is that there's no reason why we can't be the best. And other people may have more money, but we can work harder and smarter. And so how did that turn out? Well, when HEB started recognizing the best school district in Texas, Northside was the very first district they selected for that honor. When you had the Broad Prize, Northside was one of 5 national finalists for that award, which recognizes the best improvements in student achievement. The district won the Follett Award, which was for the best library program in the country. The guidance program was named one of the 10 best in the country. The communications department has won state and national awards on several occasions. The list goes on and on. I'm preaching to the choir. This has continued for over 4 decades of continuous improvement. The second element that I wanted to mention is that there are some school names that are different than others, and it's the impact of the choice goes beyond honoring the namesake. The district named a school for Moss Nichols, who was an outstanding elementary teacher, and people who knew Moss Nichols knew that it was an excellent choice, well-deserved honor. But I think that there were teachers in the school district, many of whom didn't know Moss Nichols, who felt a certain pride that the district had named a school for a teacher. And when the district named a school for Pat Henderson, who was responsible for leading the guidance program to state and national recognition, counselors understood that. But I think they also felt a certain pride because they're part of the program. And in addition to Pat being honored, the program was being honored. The same thing occurred with Rita K. Driggers, who was an outstanding librarian. The librarians knew that she was special, but there was a feeling among librarians that the program was being honored also. Tonight, I think the same dynamics are at work. You can honor an individual, and you can honor the program that she created.
Thank you, Mr. Rollinson.
We also have people here who support the nomination. I'd ask them to stand at this time.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your remarks, and thanks to the rest of you for being here. Okay, at this time, we will hear from James or Cal Gallison. Here it is.
Thank you, and good evening, board members and Dr. Woods. I'm here speaking on behalf of the many descendants of Nathan Callison, including 4 living grandchildren and 15 great-grandchildren, of whom I am one. And it is my hope that Nathan Callison is one of the 3 finalists. And if he is indeed one of the 3 finalists, I would hope that you would agree with my cousin, Nick Kotz, who was Nathan Callison's biographer. And Nick said that Nathan Callison was, in his book published by TCU Press, one of the most significant individuals contributing to the rise of South Texas in the early 1900s, including and especially the farming and ranch communities that are now part of the Northside Independent School District. I also hope that you consider that last year the San Antonio Express News named Nathan Callison one of 100 people as individuals who had the most influence on the development of San Antonio. So while I hope that those kinds of qualifications would merit his consideration for really any elementary school or middle school in this district, I know more realistic that his nomination, again if it's in play, that his nomination is more location specific because this new school is in the area where his ranch was, that I spent many, many, many weekends frolicking and riding horses and all those kinds of things. So because his nomination, I believe, is more location specific, like, for example, the John Hoffman Elementary School is in the former Hoffman Ranch. So for those reasons, this location-specific reasons in particular, and in addition to his overall qualifications that I think came through on the application process that I provided, we hope that this is an opportunity for the naming of this school to be after Nathan Callison, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Cal. I should mention to the rest of the board members that you do have a letter that's in your blue folder that is from is he your cousin?
Yes, he's my cousin.
Who wrote the book that we did receive a copy of. And he has sent some remarks for us tonight also.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I would say that the 3 names that we have left are all certainly very deserving people to have a school named after them. All 3 of them are. So with that having been said, I would welcome remarks from the rest of you. And I would like for you to keep in mind that in this past bond issue that we have in 2014, too many years, 2014, there are monies in there for 2 additional schools beyond this one, 2 elementary schools also that will be opening within the next few years. Ms. Chumbley?
I just, what's really nice is that to have this problem
in that we have these individuals that names. And so it's nice to kind of have a good problem, I guess, in a sense. I think I just want to share with you what I look at when I'm thinking about who should be deserving of a name. And where I went back this time to look at what is in our board policy in relation to elementary school criteria. And it talks about length of education service or support, type of education service or support, impact or influence on education, level of responsibilities, length and nature of community service in Northside, residents in the district, reputation within the education community, innovativeness, outstanding character traits. And when I look at that, so I look at this as part of the criteria when I'm looking at who we should look at for a namesake. And then also look at how that namesake will participate in the school in relation to their interaction with our students and our students' families. And then the other piece is, and I know I've said this all, it's kind of like preaching to the choir, but when we honor an employee who has retired from Northside, I also look at what did they do outside the scope of their job. Because my expectation is that within the scope of their job, that our employees will do an outstanding job. And I think that they do. And I think that's evidenced by what Mr. Rawlinson has been saying. But I also look at what do they do outside of that, outside of their role as an employee of Northside. And so when I look at that, there's one individual that has truly, outside the scope, was known as an employee to be very dedicated. I mean, everything that we would want. But outside the scope of that, this individual has gone about trying to preserve our history and everything that is the history of our district and the history of who we are. And I think that is one of those things that I look at for what did this person do outside the scope of their role as an employee in Northside. And I think that that's something that we will have generations of children being able to look back on because of the driving force of this individual. And then the other piece of it is making sure that our retirees continue to have a place and a role in our district. And it takes someone to really work and to dedicate their time, and that is all as a volunteer, to pull that together and to keep those individuals who have that history and knowledge of us involved in the district. And so I know that we have heard a lot about individuals that have been nominated, and that's what this one is so tough, because they all are very dedicated and deserving. But I did want to add just, kind of my perspective when I look at the three of them and add that piece of it, because I think that the actions of one individual truly show outside the scope of an employee with Northside their dedication to us, their preservation of our history, and their commitment to those that have taught in our district or been employed in our district, and keeping them involved and motivated and continuing, I guess, kind of that Northside family outside the scope of, I kind of look at it as like making sure that your grandparents are invited and still part of the family. And so I just want to share that with you, because I kind of really, that's kind of where my my support, I think, is going as we move through this process.
Thank you. Dr. Harrell?
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa, a whole lot. I really had to go back to look at what was in policy and in our practice as well. And very tough decision. These three individuals have made an incredible impact on the lives of children in Texas for a very long time. A couple of them locally here in Northside, but those children went off to impact lives outside of Northside as well. I think, so I've been wrestling with this, and a couple things helped me speak to this individual today. I was asked to go read to a kindergarten class of bilingual students that represented 17 different cultures. And so we did caps for sale. And of course, I did it in English, but we acted it out and we pointed at the monkeys and we threw down our caps, and it was a lot of fun. And I got to a lot of hugs and smiles, which is the universal language, but really value and appreciate the nationalities and the cultures and the countries that are represented in Northside, and got to see the Parade of Nations video that won when we saw who the winners in our communication department was. That was a fantastic representation of over 30 countries of immigrants that are now living in Northside. And actually nationalities, I should say, many of whom have immigrated to San Antonio and made residence in Northside. So I look in the faces of our kiddos, and I read the biographies, I read the book, and that was shared with us. And I really started seeing the faces of the kiddos in this courage and commitment that one individual showed that transcends several generations of families in this area of San Antonio, Northside, and how, I have to go back to my notes, but how this Russian Jewish immigrant impacted education, the education of farmers and ranchers in the area. The United States Agriculture Department relied on this individual for his innovations in farming and ranching, along with Texas A&M. That was my only disagreement. There were a lot of Aggies in this family. Kept looking. I think there was a daughter that was a Longhorn. But she probably got grief for that. Two of them, yeah, there you go. But that there was a lot of giving and supporting, particularly with those who had suffered disheartening experiences during the Depression, and a lot of giving back and forming and reforming lives in Texas during the late 1800s and early 1900s. A lot of giving to the way public education. I think one of the daughters opened up a school for blind in San Antonio, and so there was generations of giving in educational ways that transcend the normal traditional classroom that we see. It's not to take away from the other two educators that have given so much to Northside, but I do think this individual represents a lot of our families and children who are now Northside. The second experience, I think, that solidified this recommendation for me was when I heard Bobby speaking. We are in Northside. And we are very different than a lot of districts. We are comprised of families from around the world, and our kids in those families have courage and commitment to learning, and just like this individual did. So that's why I'm going to support the individual that I'm going to support. It's hard to say it without saying a name.
Mr. Lopez?
Number 7.
That'll work.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I too did find myself struggling, and you as well. You know, Carol, I'm sorry, thank you. Thank you very much. I did find myself struggling too, much more so because of the history of the district, the history of where we've come, how we became Northside, and the landowners at the time that contributed to the growth of the district as well, not only from a growth perspective, but from a economic growth perspective, if you will. So to me, I mean, I do have my candidate of choice. It's not to take away from anybody else as well. Dr. Robinson, thank you very much for your presentation and bringing up the information that you mentioned as well. And Mr. Callison, I think you did a great job of making your point. It is a little difficult, but I do have my choice, and I do know who I would like to see. as the next elementary school or the namesake.
Ms. Freeman?
Thank you, Ms. Reed. You know, along with what everybody said, we've narrowed this selection down to 3 individuals who are certainly worthy of a school namesake. I would, with my fellow trustees, talk about, though, the true location of this particular school and the opportunity that we have. Regarding the person that Carol was speaking with and the immigration of people to the United States, this was truly an individual that exhibited perseverance and courage and left the homeland truly out of desperation. And as this person came to the United States and saw opportunities, even here in the United States, there was a good bit of, if you will, anti-Semitism at the time that this person and the family still had to overcome, even here in the United States. Certainly, he was in Chicago at one time, and then came to the San Antonio area. He raised his family with what I feel were high moral standards, and education was very important in that family. I don't remember that. I really, to be very honest, had skimmed through some of the information that I had, but I do know that 3 of the children, and at that time, and we're talking in the 30s, that I believe I had my dates correct, that those children went to college later on. And so even at that time, there was an importance of what education means in the family. This person became a businessman and a successful business person at that, but truly not at the expense of others. We all know that there are some people that do have businesses and take, and I think this person, we have to look at it too as somebody who saw opportunities to be able to have a business, to be able to help people in the area with what they needed in the store in particular, and to carry items in the store that were necessary for people at the time, and opened truly during the Depression, opened land up to families that were homeless, and they lived on the property, including somebody, by the way, with the last name of Hoffman at that particular time. So I think this is an opportunity to honor a person, and maybe an opportunity to honor family. Later on, there was certainly part of this particular area donated to and we all have the information that truly this particular land right now is being used as certainly for recreation, but also for to learn things from. So that's where my support is right now. Again, all of the people that we have, the namesakes that we're considering, certainly are very deserving of being a namesake.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Mr. Medina, is your light on? I can't tell.
No, ma'am.
No, okay. We have not an easy decision here, but as I mentioned earlier, we do have 2 more elementary schools that are coming along relatively soon here. But this particular school is located on the area owned by this family for many, many years. And as Karen has said, that a lot of it has now been donated as a national, is it a state park or a national state park? And as such, we have classes that go out there and learn about what goes on in the natural land that is out there. So it is still being utilized by lots of people. I think they even do bird counts and all sorts of stuff out there. So my thought would be that this one should be for that person, and that the next 2 schools that we have should be moved up in order not waiting 2 years to do them, but do them relatively soon, because I think all three of these people are very deserving. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Mr. Blunt?
Yeah, and I have no disagreement with what's been stated to this point. My only, I guess a couple of things. One is just, whatever decision the board makes, I just want to make sure we're consistent with the policy and also with our rationale. Because part of the reason why, if we start using sort of different criteria or rationale, it's going to, unless we change the policy in the future, it really changes a lot, per se, when we start looking at other individuals in the past, too. And I bring that up because some of the discussion, if we're talking about naming after, policy says an area or subdivision, then I can see one direction we're heading. But if we're really looking at the other portion of individuals made a significant contribution to the educational program, then I see, two strong individuals and one that I'm still struggling with to fit in that category. So I think whatever rationale we're using, I'm fine with the final decision, but I just want to make sure that we're clear on the rationale on the selection process that we're using, unless we're looking at criteria differently.
Well, I might respond to that real quickly. There definitely were educational things that occurred. They were just not in the public schools. So that, to me, that category is still inclusive in there.
Yeah,
And we have done that in the past also.
Yeah, let me-
Certainly where we didn't have anybody that was doing, they educated at the garage. I mean,
Yeah, that-
come on, so we've done things like that.
Yeah, and I have, but part of my concern would be when we've talked about in the past, per se, though, it's always been really a north side focused, more than anything else.
Well, there wasn't a
beyond
north
that.
side
Oh,
at this time.
Yeah, no disagreement, I'm just saying, that's
Yeah.
why I think if we're talking about the area or something like that, that's a different potential discussion.
Okay.
The other part, that also, you just want to emphasize, separate from that particular discussion as a whole. In the end, whatever the board decides, process-wise, I think we also have to be careful. These individuals' names have come up in the past, so I don't think we should at all state that, hey, we've got upcoming elementary schools and consider that, because if I look back historically, the names here, I know we've talked about these at least, a couple of them I know we've talked at least 3 or 4 other cycles. So we have to be careful with that part of it. I think whatever decision we make, we say, hey, this is sort of a final decision for all those individuals, at least as we discuss it tonight, because we can't make future promises with upcoming schools, especially given that we've seen these names before. So that's something else to consider as part of our process.
Okay. Ms. Chumbley?
I want to make it really clear that I recognize, and I think everyone that has been nominated has worth. I will tell you that one concern I do have is really goes back to our policy. And I think that if we're going in a certain direction, if that's the preference of the board, that we need to keep our policy in mind. And it says, elementary schools are named after the area or subdivision in which they are located, and are individuals who have made significant contributions to the educational program. And so, Katie, when you bring up, and I've gone completely blank, but Carol, help me, the gentleman that we just named. Bolt. Mr. Bolt. Mr. Bolt impacted the educational programs in the district, in essence, by acting as a pseudo career tech program, actually. And I just think that
They're not district programs.
that we need to be careful of this, and I think that if we are heading in that direction, then I think that we need to look at it in relation to an area versus an individual's name on that, because I do think that this will take us out of policy and following what we've said and what we've asked individuals to consider when suggesting someone or nominating someone for this type of to have a school named after him. I think I agree with Bobby on that. I think we need to be careful about that, and I think that if that's a preference of the board, there's certainly a way that we can accommodate that and still stay true to our policy. I think we need to know, though, if that's a preference of the board first to start with, by taking a vote on it. And then I think we can come back and address then that piece of it in relation to the policy on it. I do think we have two individuals from an educational standpoint that have a stronger piece to this. I don't know. I'm just, when looking at our policy. So.
Okay, we still have two people who would like to speak. Dr. Harrell?
No, I agree with you, Melissa. I think any decision we make or we discuss and we look at and we research, we do with careful consideration of policy and practice. And I think some of the things we're saying tonight, we shared when we were talking about Herbert Bolt, about educating in a non-traditional way that perhaps was more current than looking at this individual because of the time period. We didn't get our first high school till 1955, and of course, a lot of the living laboratory that the ranch was at that time for the U.S. Department of Agriculture trained a lot of future farmers and ag people in Texas, which was a form of education that provided Texas with a rich economy. And so, and then also looking at a lot of ways that, and you said it earlier, that generations or family members continue to support and can also give back in Northside that transcends this individual, of course, who's no longer with us. So, I think that's what we're all here for, is to discuss that. And thanks for always bringing that up, and Bobby too. That we have to really stay true to policy, but also bring up perhaps other ways of looking at that comes down to a vote, I guess. Thanks,
Ms. Freeman.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually looking at the policy, and I know we've looked at this numerous times, but to point out, the policy states the board shall consider various criteria for the selection of an elementary school name, such as the following. So I take that to mean that it doesn't necessarily have to include all of the following, and I might point out for instance, number 6, residents in the district. These are all pieces of criteria that the policy suggests that we look at, but does not limit us from looking at other criteria. So while I think the policy is written as a guideline, I don't think it's written as a finite piece for somebody to fit specifically in all those specific slots. So that's my interpretation as I read the policy, such as the following.
Okay. Dr. Hall, did you have something else? That I think some of you had pushed twice, so that's okay. All right, so that is the last of the discussion lights that I see. So if you really would like to take a vote, do we want to vote, go down the row and vote for who you want to vote for? Is that the way you would like to do it?
I think that's
Okay.
what we've done.
Then let's start with Bobby.
6.
The numbers.
Mr. Lopez?
7.
Carol?
7.
And my vote is 7. Melissa?
14.
Mr. Medina?
7.
Ms. Freeman?
7.
Okay, I think we have the name of a new school. Congratulations to the Callison family. It is on the Callison Ranch, and it has been referred to as the Callison School number 2. So to me, I think it certainly is well-deserving, as well as are both of the other nominees. And so we hope that they will come forward soon again. So congratulations. Okay, anything else? I guess I need to say something here, because As I have talked to,
Motion.
oh, I'm sorry.
don't have a motion on it.
Do we need a motion then? I didn't think we did. Do we need a motion? So it's a vote.
So.
Do we need a motion also? I thought we just had a vote. No, I don't think we make a motion on a vote. I think the vote just is the end.
Well, I think
you
we've narrowed it.
If you would like to make a motion, please
We've
go ahead and
narrowed,
do so.
we've narrowed it down.
So,
On it. I would really like to talk to the board, my fellow trustees, and say that I in no way don't support the Callison family, but I am very uncomfortable with this in relation to policy, and I would like to ask if, to me, the statements that our board members have said look at the contributions of not just one member of the Callison family, but members of the whole Callison family. And I would like to see if the board would consider, instead of naming the school specific to Nathan Callison, is to name the school the Callison Family Ranch Elementary School, or
That's not the way the nomination was
Callison-
written.
I know, but Katie, the board can do whatever we want to do in relation to that. I mean, it's not.
Okay, well,
I
I
mean-
guess I don't agree with you and your
No,
interpretation of what you're saying so far as the rules that we have in place, which were suggestions, and I think that this still fits under that category, so.
Well, I'm just asking Katie if the board would consider. So, I move that we name the elementary school the Callison Family Ranch Elementary, or Callison Family Elementary.
I don't believe there's a second to that.
On that.
I'll second it, so we
Oh.
had a discussion.
Okay. Mr. Lopez?
And it's not to take anything away from Nathan. I just think that there's been members of the Callison family that have.
Mr. Lopez?
yes, and I understand we're trying to follow policy, we're trying to go with the policy and honor, which is what we've always done. What would be the benefit of naming the Callison family, naming the campus the Callison family? What would be the benefit of that? I mean, can you
Well,
help me
Gerald,
understand that?
it honors not just Nathan, it honors all of the descendants and members of his family. I mean, we've talked about, he had a daughter that opened a school for the blind. We have other scenarios of individuals that have helped, particularly during the Depression. And then the other piece is that one of the pieces that makes this so important is that it's specific of the area.
Right.
And so that's why, as I'm thinking, that really draws attention to the area where the school is actually going to be located, because it's on land that was part of the Callison Ranch.
But that's not the only reason. Melissa, I really feel that's somewhat out of order, because we've already voted to name it for Nathan Callison. So I'm sorry. We can have that discussion if you want to. We'll come to a vote, but I really do not think this is appropriate once you have already voted that this will be the name of the school.
We didn't vote for that, Katie.
Yes, we did.
We went through the nominations again,
We-
and
5 people voted that it should be named for Nathan Callison.
I think that we would have a question on that in relation to
I'm sorry.
Robert rules, in relation to if that.
I think what you're
on
doing
that.
is opposed to Nathan's rules, or I really do. But I will let you go ahead and Karen, you had something?
Yeah, Ms. Reed, in discussion here, I think we did say that perhaps maybe let's see the will of the board and then come back and talk about maybe a location name or a family name. I'm willing to discuss that again if the board is willing to discuss it, because it was mentioned before we set our numbers, if you will.
Okay. Mr. Blunt?
Yeah, I was gonna, I guess pretty much same thing Karen said. Because I wasn't clear process-wise, that was a vote or, but, well, just as the other two stated, my preference would be also to recognize the area with a name like the Callison Family Ranch or the Callison Ranch area, which is already named per se.
But this nomination is for so much more than just the Callison Ranch. It's for the impact that he has had on,
Yeah, I
that
guess some
Nathan
of us,
Callison had.
yeah, but some of us see it as more of a, and again, the board's gonna decide either way, but I'm just saying, from my standpoint, I'm recognized more of the area. I thought, as I've stated earlier, I thought they were, better candidates or better nominees in terms of actually fitting the other area, the criteria. If we say we're talking about the area, then I fully support is what I'm stating. Now, the board doesn't necessarily, we can have split or whatever else, but at least, you know, that's my vantage point with it. And process-wise, I'm not sure where we're at, to be honest, in terms of whether we actually took the vote. Because I thought in the past where we've done it is we'd take the straw and then we would take the vote. We get a motion and then we'd go ahead and take the vote at that particular time. And once we had the individuals identified, I'm not sure I've actually seen us do it so that we had multiple names and base it on that part of it.
Okay, I'm not sure I understood that last part. There is actually a motion and a second on the floor here to, say again the motion?
I move that we name, I move that we name the elementary, the Callison family. This is where I'm torn. See, the Callison Ranch Elementary, all right, but I want to honor the family. So my motion is that we, I think my original motion, Linda helped me on here, was that we name the elementary the Callison Family Elementary.
Callison Family Elementary School?
Mhm.
And that's the motion you seconded? Okay.
Are we still discussing?
We can, certainly. Go ahead, Carol.
So I just want to look at other instances where, and I understand what you're saying, Melissa, about including family, because we know how much it means to our kids when family of the namesake comes to visit, to participate. So it's always wonderful. I know the kiddos at Bolt Elementary love the Bolt sisters. They're treated like, as they'll tell us, like rock stars whenever they go. And, you know, Bob Beard had passed away, but his family still goes. And it's still Bob Beard Elementary with the Beard family going, and Herbert Bolt Elementary with the Bolt family going. There's still going to be Nathan Callison Elementary name, but the Callison family will still come and visit and support because there's still Callisons alive and wanting to support kids. I'm trying, those are the only three that come to mind where the school name is after the namesake who started, and I know there were generations in Russia before Nathan Callison came here, but he was the person who really started the family and raised the children, and the children raised their families. So I thought we were voting, and it was voting. This is the way we've done it the past at least 3 years I've been on the board, where it's been the name, and we voted for the name, and we didn't change. We didn't say we were going to do it another way. So I voted for the way we've done it in the past, and we have boiled it down to 2 or 3 names, and we have said, who do you choose out of those 2 or 3 names, and then a winner comes out, or the namesake comes out of that. So I don't know that we've changed what we've done before. I do think that the discussion is really good, and I do want family representation. I just don't think it matters at this point, because we're going to get a lot of bang with our buck with the Callison family coming and supporting and still honoring the land that was out there, and then the land that was donated to the park system right next to it. So I don't know, but I really thought we were following this. And so if we change that, then our vote was really for what was on this piece of paper, at least in my eyes.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have a motion and a second on the floor, so we will have to vote on that. All those in favor of the motion as presented by Ms. Chumbley, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
No.
No? The motion does not carry.
That's fine.
Katie.
I mean, Katie, it's never been that it's not supportive of the Callisons. I just am more comfortable because of our policy.
Okay,
So,
yes. Ms. Freeman?
Okay, I'm going to add to the confusion. We've tossed a lot of things around here regarding this, and we've talked about Callison Ranch, and we've talked about Nathan Callison, and there was something that somebody on this bench said that, and we've looked at policy, and maybe our policy is not clear, but there was something that somebody said at the other end of this bench that said, I would fully support this decision if. And I wonder about the name Callison Elementary School. We're not saying Callison Ranch, because that implies it implies a lot of things. It could imply a building to somebody who doesn't know the background of the namesake. But I wonder about Callison Elementary School, and that includes certainly Nathan Callison, but the family, and the family's been very important as I've read in the book and in history, and after Nathan has passed away, the family has donated the property to Government Canyon. So I know that there's been a motion and a second that just failed, but I would and when we've talked about our process regarding naming schools, we have done the straw piece, and we have done an official motion, including the namesake, to make the announcement. So with that, I'm going to take a stab at it, because sometimes you make a motion and it just completely dies. But I'm going to take a stab and say I would like to make a motion that we name this school Callison Elementary School.
Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, I don't think I can support, the Callison Ranch. I think that's a great idea, great option, but to me, I would like to see the Nathan Callison. I think that's who the founder was originally. That's who we're talking about. The family came, I don't mean to say it this way, we're secondary, but that was the individual person. That's the person we're honoring. I just can't support just the Callison Ranch. We've gone through the process, and I respect Bobby and Melissa's opinions on that, but I would recommend that we don't, or at least I can't support that.
Okay.
second.
Wait a minute. That's not a motion. Oh,
I made a
I'm sorry.
motion.
Made a motion,
She
and
made a
I just
motion.
seconded it.
Okay. It is not the nomination that we have. So you're doing something that I've never seen done in the 26 years I've been on this board, of changing the name of the nomination that you have received. And for that reason, I am sorry, I can't support that either. But we will go ahead and vote, and this time I think you better raise your hands. All those in favor of the motion to name it the Callison Elementary School, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, would somebody like to make a motion to name this school the Nathan Callison?
Thank you, Katie. I'd like to make a motion that we name, or that we accept the Callison Ranch Area Number 2 Elementary School, and we accept the name of Nathan Callison as the namesake.
Thank you.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that this school will be named Nathan Callison Elementary School. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, that should be 2 nays. Okay. Whew. Not an easy thing to do here tonight. And some of that's because we have a lot of people that are certainly great candidates to have schools named for them, and hopefully we will not forget them. Thank you.
I was just going to one, if
Yeah.
I can. Just one other, we did have, so everybody knows, there was one historical discussion that we did have, and I'm going back years ago, where we had to sort of consider a family and how to handle it, and that was the Raba. So when we did Bunny and Jean, remember that was separate, we discussed, we figured out, we do the whole family, do we do the two names? So we have had, not to
Okay.
the same
I
extent,
guess
but we
I
have-
forgot
yeah,
that.
Yeah, we have
came
had
back
this dialogue
and
before.
did the same kind of votes.
Yeah. Okay, but there was still individual names rather than just the family. Okay, so hopefully you get home before it hails. And come back and see us often. Okay.
Again?
Thank you. We,
That bad weather again?
Yeah, don't fix
yeah,
your
but
roof
no,
yet.
they've moved it to later tonight, hopefully, so hopefully everybody will get home first.
Don't fix your roof
So
yet.
we have future agenda items. Dr. Woods.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Reed, in your folder, we've got a number of items for you. You've got a schedule of softball playoffs. You've got, obviously, the future agenda items. I would point out to the members of the board that we are still holding May the 10th for a called meeting. We will likely need a grievance hearing that night, and so I'd like to ask the board members to consult your calendar and see if we could do a grievance at 6 o'clock that night prior to a 7 o'clock called meeting. It's May the 10th.
Yeah, okay.
Then obviously, the other meeting in May is our regular meeting, and quite a list of items there. Just as a reminder to the board, and it is correct on the sheet, we've moved the June meeting, we've consolidated to one and moved it to the 21st of June, per our discussion last month. So that's included in there as well.
Okay. That's all you have for that?
Yes, ma'am.
We have some items on our executive session. Are we going to go to your room to do that, or going to do it in
is
here?
completely the will of the board.
Do we have maps and stuff? How long is it going to take?
We've got several items. But we're prepared to
Either place.
do them right here.
You
Yes.
want to do them here? Yeah. We'll do them here, okay? Okay, so, the Board of Trustees on April 26, 2016, beginning at 9:30, will convene in closed meeting in accordance with Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 to discuss the following items as listed, A through J. So, let's see, we ended our closed meeting at 10:55. Okay, so do I have motions to come before the board? The, number A has no action on it for sites, and other motions?
I move approval of the superintendent's recommendations on teachers' contracts.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve item B as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next. See?
I move to terminate the probationary contract of Michael Carr at the end of the contract term to serve the best interests of the district, and further move to authorize the superintendent to provide written notice to Mr. Carr of this board's action as required by law.
Okay, second?
Second.
It's been moved in, or any other discussion on that item? If not, it's been moved and seconded to terminate the probationary professional educator contract as discussed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item D.
Ms. Reed, I move to rescind the motion of the board on, made on February 23rd, 2016 board meeting to renew the two-year term contract of an administrator currently on administrative leave.
And place them on the second year of a contract? And place them on the second year of a contract?
Okay, yes, and place them on the second year of a contract. Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on item D. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, one more. Somebody move to approve,
I move-
E through L, H, I, through I.
the administrative.
Somebody?
I move to approve the administrative recommendations as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Okay, that's items E through I. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okey-doke.
We are now adjourned.